vibrant, colorful annual KZN Julus Milad Nabi with the Anjuman Warisi Muhammadi Brigade and children reading Nats to celebrate this very special occasion.
On Sunday, 7th September, the procession starts off at 10 a.m. from the Glennon Road Sufi Mosque to the Emel Sultan ground. All welcome.
MSJ RB Foundation invites you to the Milad ul-Nabi, a blessed spiritual gathering celebrating the birth and legacy of our Master, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Saturday, 6 September at the Al-Ansar Musalla, 207 West Road in Overport, commencing with Maghrib Salah. Khatam by Qari Idris Rajab, Naats by Hafiz Nazim Qadri, lecture by Mulana Ibrahim Muhammad. Men only, Niyaz supper will be served.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ادعو إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة وموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن.
Invite all to the way of thy Lord with wisdom and beautiful preaching, and reason with them in the ways that are best and most gracious. Join Shabir Pasha every Saturday 7 p.m. for Dawah Dynamic Show.
At Radio Al-Ansar, we value your feedback. If you have a broadcasting-related complaint, please send it in writing to the head of the Complaints Committee. Be sure to include your full name, contact details, a clear explanation of the complaint, and any supporting documents. You can email your complaint to feedback@alansar.org.za, that's feedback@alansar.org.za, or visit our administrative office at 207 West Road, Overport, Durban. Your voice matters to us.
اللهم إنك ترى ما نزل بنا في غزة من الأحوال يا ذا الجلال والعزة يا ذا الجبروت والعزة. اللهم أعز أهل غزة، اللهم فرج عن أهل غزة، اللهم فرح أهل غزة، اللهم انصر أهل غزة، اللهم داو جريحهم، اللهم اشف مريضهم، اللهم اقبل شهيدهم، اللهم ارحم ميتهم، اللهم كفف جراحاتهم وبرد آلامهم، اللهم واجعل لهم وللمسلمين فرجا قريبا يا الله. اللهم فرج عنا وعن المسلمين في كل مكان. اللهم انصر الإسلام وأعز واخذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداء الدين يا رب العالمين. سبحانك سبحانك ترى الظالمين فتمهلهم أنك تهملهم وتبتلي الصالحين في الدنيا حتى يستيئسوا، فإن استيئسوا أتيتهم بنصرهم. اللهم إنك تعلم أن جراحات المسلمين كثيرة وآلامهم كثيرة في كل مكان وفي كل زمان. اللهم فانصرنا على أعدائنا، اللهم فثبت أقدامنا يا الله.
The views and opinions expressed by the guest and presenters of Radio Al-Ansar are not necessarily the views and opinions of Radio Al-Ansar and the Al-Ansar Medical Files program will help you with any medical problems you have by giving you advice on air. However, they do not have your full medical history and they have not seen you. Please verify the advice given to you on air with your doctor who knows you better. Neither the doctors nor Radio Al-Ansar will be held responsible for any ill health caused by the advice given on Radio Al-Ansar.
Your perfect companion, Radio Al-Ansar.
When you're by my side.
You are listening to a live broadcast from Radio Al-Ansar, Pietermaritzburg, 105.6 FM.
Every time you're next to me, I get that sweet serenity, that heavenly sweet love. Sweet love coming from above. It's a love, 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 sweet love. sweet love.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Join me, Shabnam Ismail, on this lovely Saturday on Radio Al Ansar 90.4 Durban and Pietermaritzburg 105.6 FM. I'm thrilled to be capturing the heartbeat of our vibrant community on the Pulse Show and tune in for inspiring conversations, uplifting stories, and the latest in medical news. Today, we are tackling a crucial topic that affects countless families: the impact of chronic stress on teenagers' health. As a parent, it's natural to want the best for your child, but navigating the challenges of your teenagers can be overwhelming. Chronic stress can have serious consequences on your child's mental well being, from anxiety and depression to burnout and much more. Joining me is Dr. QURAISHA BAIG, who'll share valuable insights and practical advice on how parents can support their teens. We'll explore the signs of chronic stress, its effects on mental health, and strategies for building resilience. If you're a parent, a caregiver, or simply want to learn more, this conversation is for you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Dr. Baig?
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am well, thank you. Thanks for having me on the show this morning.
It's great to have you on the Pulse Show this morning. Dr. Baig is a clinical psychologist based in Pietermaritzburg, South Africa, registered with HPCSA and practicing at PsyCare. She works with adults and adolescents in psychotherapy, trauma, and resilience, and is an accredited brainworking recursive therapy practitioner. Beyond therapy, she provides psycho-legal assessments and founded Inside Art, wow, an initiative blending art and psychotherapy. Featured in media and professional forums, QURAISHA advocates for accessible, context-sensitive mental health care that emphasizes resilience, neuroplasticity, and inclusive practice. Really great to have you on the show. So, Doctor, tell us, what really made you to choose a career in the world of psychology?
I think I saw a number of people that were really struggling, and I couldn't understand why they were so misunderstood and weren't getting the help that they need. And it really made me want to get involved and make a difference. Surprisingly, I started off wanting something else. Psychology as an extra, and was just drawn to it.
Wonderful. And in terms of our parents listening out there today, how can they identify just going through chronic stress?
One of the things we have to remember is in South Africa, we live in the most unequal society in the world, which means that when we're looking at chronic stress, it comes across in many, many different ways. And the reasons for that are huge. You know, we can think about poverty, food insecurity, unsafe neighborhoods, racism, social media, intergenerational trauma. So much that I think we can't look at one broad way. We've got to consider that you're going to see many different things. The general things you'll see are mood changes. So your child can be very irritable and very happy, and it tends to fluctuate a lot. They'll avoid school at all costs. They'll often want to just isolate themselves from the family, from friends, and spend a lot of time in their bedroom. But this makes it hard to identify because I'm also describing a normal teenager. But you'll also get lots of physical complaints, I can't sleep, or my body's sore, stomach aches, headaches. And it really makes it difficult. But I think the most common thing you'll see is that loss of interest. They just don't want to do things anymore. Even things that they felt previously exciting or fulfilling for them. They stop doing those things and they really start to isolate themselves and lose motivation. I think those are the most common things that we'll see.
And what are some of the long-term consequences if it's not been managed?
So an adolescent's brain is still developing. It's really not fully developed yet. So we're looking at setting pathways for the future, permanent pathways in our brain for the future. So if we don't address this, we're not giving their brain a solid foundation for the future to even tolerate things that they're going to come across in their lifespan. So it's really important to, in this crucial age when they're developing their identity, they're at that stage where they're really settling into their identity, that we then help them, support them to develop that healthy brain. It will help them in the long run because if we address it early, we take away the risk of substance abuse, school dropouts, and these perpetuation of destructive cycles. So it's the ideal time in their adolescence to get them support. And I think that's why I love working with adolescents. You watch them really blossom and go from such difficulty to such amazing human beings as they settle in their identity. So it's a really crucial stage of development.
I can relate having a teenager myself, and you highlighted points where the behavior changes and you ask yourself, what you can do right. And let's dive into that a little bit. How can the parents identify, look, my child has chronic stress, and what would be the necessary steps you'll advise them to probably try and guide their kid to come out of their shell a little bit?
One of the things we tend to do as parents, like you say, because we're so invested and we care so much, is we just want to fix it for them. And we have to stop fixing it for them. This is the stage where they are developing their identity and learning coping strategies. And we really just need to give them space and hear them without judging them and without fixing it for them. We really need to engage and listen to our teenagers because we don't listen. So I think we've just got to give them a space to be themselves without feeling judged, without imposing our stuff on them, and just letting them be heard before we actually start to go, oh, here, try this or do this, or other people have it worse. Have you seen Gaza? Don't take away their experience. Really listen to them and hear them with non-judgment, and just be aware there's so much that they face that we didn't face. I can't imagine growing up as a teen now with social media as the people on the corner gossiping or the aunties watching us down the road. Growing up now is really, and I think we mustn't undermine the importance of that we actually can't relate to.
You've heard that, listeners. Mindful pause, active listening, participation, and also give them a little bit of space. Can you explain, QURAISHA, the difference between normal stress and chronic stress in teenagers and how parents can distinguish between the two?
So normal stress is a really important thing for people to experience because normal stress helps with better performance. So if they're walking into an exam and they're not stressed and they don't care, they're actually not going to do well. So when they're stressed around things that are about growth, so exams or an oral, and you just see a little bit of tension around it, or an assignment, something that has meaning for them, that's normal stress. That's in fact healthy stress, because it's going to get them to improve their performance. But chronic stress, you'll see over weeks and months, and it's just not related to one particular incident. You'll find that it tends to be there all the time. And I think the biggest thing is to watch for how long it's been present, whether it's related to a particular incident or it's ongoing, and how long they take to bounce back from it. Because that's when the problems are starting to come. That's when the burnout is starting to show, and you can see they're really not coping.
Yeah, I think communication is key. And my next question is obviously related to that. How can parents create a positive environment for their teenagers to discuss stress concerns? Because sometimes, they kind of feel they're judged.
They feel incredibly judged from all angles, from teachers, from peers, from parents, from extended family. And I think in South Africa, we can't adopt these Eurocentric views by people that are linked on social media or imposed. So I think in South Africa, we need to remember that Ubuntu teaches us that I am because we are. And our children are a part of the system that we create for them. So as I said earlier, we've really got to create for them this environment. But for us to remember, often children don't take what we say. They watch what we do and replicate what we do. So that I am because we are means we hold a huge role in modeling for them the right kind of patterns. And so we need to really check ourselves and not impose our own stresses and emotions on them. Allow them to have their own experiences. Sit with them during a mealtime. Make sure you have a mealtime as a family. Let them tell their stories. Share your stories. There's a lot that comes through from intergenerational trauma. We're still the generation that grew up in apartheid era. They're not. And that makes a significant difference. So I think we really got to have this open dialogue with them so that we can really start to build a bridge of understanding between their experience and ours. Just for us to understand how these things and factors contribute. And when we can hold them in that for them ways to deal with issues, then I think we're already halfway there.
You actually mentioned a very important point about with your kids or spending more time. I think that's very vital. I coach a few teenagers myself with mostly the career side of things. And I think what we put in is what we're going to get out of. Look at you for guidance. Sometimes they might not speak to the parents about feeling judged, but they want you to actually guide them because their brains are still developing. They want to make the right choices. So I hope that the listeners today, can grasp that information. Let's take a quick ad break, and when we return, let's dive into the discussion on teenage mental health with clinical psychologist QURAISHA BAIG. We'll explore how chronic stress affects teens and practical strategies to parents to support your kids.
Campus invites you to a career workshop where you explore the delicate balance between passion and financial security when choosing a career. Of how to master communication skills, CV writing, digital footprints, AI in the workplace, entrepreneurship, and so much more. It's free entry, but registration is required to reserve your seat. Space are limited, so book now.
Within my heart when I'm loving.
Get ready for Green Thumbs Up, the gardening and natural living show you didn't know you needed. I'm your host and life coach, Rabia Carvalho, and we're talking birds, bees, butterflies, and blooms, growing food in garden rooms, home-based holistic healing, and much more. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or nature lover, plant assassin, or permaculture professional, we got you. We got you. Let us bring you the ideas, the facts, support, and inspiration to go green wherever you are. Sundays 9 to 10 a.m. only on Radio Al Ansar.
Welcome to Simplex Radio. Visit our showroom for the full range of car audio. Our TV department carries top brands with quality LED panels, full HD to Ultra HD, and now the experience of Super Ultra HD. Visit our theater rooms and transform your home with brands like Onkyo, Integra, Denon, Boston Acoustics, Yamaha, and more for quality audio-visual experience. Now available, full range of home appliances. A one-stop shopping experience. Call 031 306 4029 or Kenilworth Park, 202 Brickfield Road, Overport. Simplex Radio, the name you can trust.
Who, why, and what on earth are you doing here? Come and join us at our free event where we will be delving deep to unearth the secrets of why you have been sent on earth and what is your purpose. We are coming to Durban at the Al Ansar Conference Center on 9th of September at 6 p.m. We look forward to meeting you for an enlightening discussion on the day.
Station for Conversation, Radio Al Ansar. Doctors and guests on the Medical Files program will help you with any medical problems you have by giving you advice on air. However, they do not have your full medical history and they have not seen you. Please verify the advice given to you on air with your doctor who knows you better. Neither the doctors nor Radio Al Ansar will be held responsible for any ill health caused by the advice given on Radio Al Ansar.
You are listening to a live broadcast from Radio Al Ansar, Peter
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today you're joining me, Shabnam Ismail, on this lovely Saturday on Radio Al Ansar 90.4 Durban and Peter Marisburg 105.6 FM. Today we are joined by Dr. BAIG, clinical psychologist, and we're tackling a topic that's super relevant for many of you: stress management for your teenagers. Let's be real. School, social media, relationships, and expectations can be quite overwhelming. But don't worry, we have expert insights and practical tips to help you navigate. Stay tuned for a conversation that will empower you to take control of your mental well-being. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. BAIG. It's great to have you on today's show.
Wa alaikum salam. Thanks for having me.
So, Dr. BAIG, challenges that can impact their mental health, including academic pressure, the social relationships, and self-identity struggles that we've been discussing since this morning, chronic depression, and also other mental issues. So tell us, in your role, in terms of social media and technology, how can that contribute to the chronic and how can parents migrate these effects?
Social media can be both such an amazing tool and a curse at the same time. One of the things I think are really helping at the stage where they are developing their identity. And social media can be useful because they'll pick up helpful tools and tips online that really resonate with them, people who share authentic experiences. But social media typically amplifies inequality. We see people portraying these amazing lives, influencers creating these beautiful perspectives. And it really contributes to inadequacy that teens feel. And that's where they really start to question themselves and feel a depth of inadequacy that I don't think we can understand. And it's only ever portrayed by these beautiful lifestyles that they see. And with these algorithms that they're exposed to, they then are perpetuating the cycles of what they're exposed to. I think one of the other issues is cyberbullying. You know, cyberbullying has become such a big issue, and they are so hugely vulnerable on social media. The littlest thing can get amplified and taken out of context. Or now with AI, their faces and images, their voices can be replicated, and these scenarios can be created that they really weren't even a part of. So I think cyberbullying is a huge thing when they face stress. We can empower our kids by making them aware, really teaching them healthy strategies. A lot of the time, because of those algorithms, they're repeatedly exposed to the same thing. And we have to teach them to unfollow, to change the algorithm, give them that media literacy. We have to learn it ourselves because I think we often don't know enough about these things, but we've got to give them that media literacy and remind them that what they're exposed to is only ever the best. It's not actually the daily, and these lives are portrayed in a particular way. And I think we can't monitor them, we can't actively surveil them, but rather look with them, co-watch with them, so we understand what they're being exposed to, and it gives us a different sense of understanding about their interests. Sometimes you'll see your child in a different scenario, and you'll think, wow, is that my child? Because we are very disconnected from the things that they engage with. So that kind of co-viewing, rather than just being a surveillance officer, gives us a different sense of insight. And then it gives us opportunities to engage with what they're exposed to, rather than just impose ideas. And then we're setting ourselves up for competition between ourselves and this major influencer. So I think we've really got to start to adjust ourselves around social media, rather than setting it up as a guilty pleasure and going, no, don't do it.
Yes.
So we've got to engage more with what they're exposed to and just balance the reality for them a bit.
I think cyberbullying is so important, and we're definitely going to roll that out in one of our shows in the future. And the world is evolving. I mean, it's becoming more technology driven, and kids obviously want to follow in that era. I mean, I remember growing up and we were riding our bicycles and doing different things. And in terms of parental guidance with academic expectations, how would you advise the parents to actually formulate healthy academic habits? So spent on mobile devices versus your schoolwork, basically.
I think if we have that we will know what they're being exposed to. So we'll help them create a balance. But I think we've also got to acknowledge our own ignorance. I mean, who would have thought when we were in high school that a social media influencer would have been a career?
Yes.
So we've also got to acknowledge that even with academics, we've got to give them a bit more balance and not put as much pressure on them. Because to be honest, I don't think academics are keeping up. I don't think the careers they're exposed to now may even exist in 5 years. So we're putting all this academic pressure on them. And the question is it really necessary? We've got a legacy in South Africa around academics. We can't forget the Bantu education system. We must not forget it and forget the inequality that it created. So, with that, we've come from the back foot and now trying to really prove ourselves in academics, prove our worth, prove our value. And it's those things that create this unrealistic pressure, and it really harms their well-being. We also then lose our child in that because we're looking at them from one perspective and not understanding them as a holistic person. Academics are not everything.
Mhm.
We'll find that if we look at some of the most successful people in the world, a lot of them didn't even do well in school or finish school. So we've really got to encourage a balance for them, help them find their niche, studying, sport, art, rest, social media. Give them time to explore everything and be careful with limiting things. You know, when you limit something and when you say no, we inevitably create it as a guilty pleasure, because when they have that time, they're really seeking it, and then they want to overcompensate, and then they'll want to hide and do these things. Rather, explore with them, encourage them, take them out to do different things with them so that they choose for themselves to limit that time. I'm sure my boys are listening to me and laughing in the background, but
Yes, my daughter as well. I'm sure she's obviously listening to the show. So, can you discuss the link between chronic stress and anxiety or depression in our teenagers and what parents should look out for?
I think, as we mentioned earlier, that low mood, that irritability, the body aches and pains, and that acting out. You know, we'll typically label acting out or the things that they do that are really asking us for help as attention seeking. They're not attention seeking. They're not being defiant. They're actually trying to talk to us and say, you are not hearing me. You're not understanding me. So really, to change our ways of understanding those things and looking at them as rather early warning signs for depression and anxiety, and looking at those things as ways to work through things with them. And if we're feeling overwhelmed like we can't, then get the help, but also model for them healthier things to do.
Mm. Ideal working professionals every day, and you take stress home, etc. What would be some self-care tips for parents before they actually go? Such an important question that you can actually assist us with some guidelines.
I think that's right. We live under very, very high pressure. I mean, at the moment, financially, in every facing strain, and we have to acknowledge that we take these things home. As much as I'd like to say that we don't, the reality is that we do. And like I said, because children focus more than what we say, we've got a model for them that it's okay to take a break. Rest is important. We don't have to do it all on our own. We need support. We can get support from our friends or groups that exist out there. Get involved in exercise and get them involved with us, but show them that help to develop a healthy body and mind and release some of the stress that we're holding in our body. Doing those things will reduce of what we call intergenerational stress. So our stress imposed on them, and we can then break that cycle. But the biggest thing is self-care. I always take a break every 3 months. Without fail, every 3 months, I take a break for at least a week to be with them, but also for myself to heal and restore. And do the little things, I mean, sometimes you're tired. You actually are not in the mood to wash your hair. Go get your hair washed, blow dried, and ironed. take your kids with you for a massage, but really model for them healthy self-care.
You heard that, listeners. Revitalize yourself, your energy, your outlook portrays who you are, and that also outshines in the sense of what you are giving to your kids. And Dr. Bay, can you tell us? Obviously, this is a very vital question as well. Schools and the community organizations, how can they support in managing the stress of the learners, and what resources are available?
I think first, as community schools and organizations, we have to learn to be authentic. We try to model things for them that are based on things that are not actually from our own societies. We've got to really look at the little things and understand it holistically. Simple things like the fact that we face load shedding and the impact of that on our kids during now the times when they're studying for trials. We can create spaces for them where there's simple things like electricity so that they can come together and study together if need be. If it means making sure that we have a school hall with lights and the children can have that, that would be a wonderful thing. But to be authentic ourselves and not try to be something else that we're not, really be comfortable with who we are and relevant to the community which we're placed in. To have access to counselors, there's lots of psychology grads out there that can't get into masters to be psychologists, but use them. They have a wealth of knowledge and they could be counselors. They could be giving talks to your schools. Faith-based organizations, we could really support them through faith-based organizations. And often because our government resources are under such strain, to go to NGOs. We have NGOs like Lifeline, like SADAG. Gift of the Givers has a lovely counseling facility. And to really utilize those when we're finding that we can't access anything else. Peer mentorship in schools. Mentorship from ourselves, from those that are successful in our community. All those things will support and educate them through those things and even little talks that we do at school.
So as you've heard, listeners, education is key. To the educators that's listening on the show, we are with Dr. BAIG, clinical psychologist, and we're unpacking adolescent patterns with mental health. And it's vitally important that there are resources available. There are NGOs, there are organizations that can support our learners to become better versions of themselves. We're going to take a short break with the soulful nasheed to uplift and inspire this beautiful Saturday morning. And when we return, we'll be back in conversation with Dr. BAIG, who will enlighten us in managing our teenagers.
This year marks 1500 years since the birth of our blessed Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who has brought Allah's guidance to us in the form of the Holy Quran.
Join the Anjumani Warisi Muhammadi's 38th vibrant, colorful annual KZN Julus Milad Nabi with the Anjuman Warisi Muhammadi Brigade and children reading Naats to celebrate this very special occasion.
On Sunday, 7th September, the to the Emal Sultan ground. All welcome.
This and only this is Nightline. Nightline is the only program that allows you to discuss opinion concerns you. Also on Nightline, we interview the famous, the not so famous, and infamous. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Brother Muhammad Variawa, and with me in the studio is Dr. Anwar Jiwa. Join us every Saturday night from 8:30 p.m. till 10:30 p.m. on Nightline, the program designed especially for you, the listener.
Take the challenge. We dare you. Call Flowpath for a lab quote and compare. Better quality, same accreditation, up to 30% less on medical aid claims. Save with Flowpath, the People's Lab.
Radio Al-Ansar.
You are listening to a live broadcast from Radio Al-Ansar, Peter Maritzburg, 105.6 FM. Radio Al-Ansar, 24/7, 365.
زينت السماء وضعت الجبال أمرت البحار وخلقت الجنان سيرت الكواكب أضأت النجوم فجرت الأنهار فأرحت القلوب وللعباد أنزلت الإسلام وللهداية أنزلت القرآن وبالسلام أرسلت الأنبياء من الضلال إلى الضياء ساعة التوحيد رفعت يدي عن رحمة وسعت كل شيء بحق أشكو إليه لكنني بما إن شئت قلت كن معكم وسد عني كل الأمور أنت الكريم أنت الرحيم أنت السميع Just the Almighty, the King of the worlds, the Lord of creations and the heavens above. You're closer to me than my jugular vein. You answer my prayers when I'm hurting in pain. And in return for worship and love, you give eternal peace beyond earth. And all around, I see all your signs. Every prayer, so here's mine. التوحيد رحمة واسعة كل شيء أشكو إليك بما إن شئت قلت
Barakatuh. It's Shabnam Ismail on the Peter Maritzburg Pulse Show on this beautiful Saturday, Durban 90.4 and Peter Maritzburg 105.6 FM. And today we are joined by Dr. BAIG, a clinical psychologist, as we are tackling a topic that's very relevant to most of you on stress management for our teenagers. And let's be real, social media, relationships, and expectations. There's so much going on with our teenagers. And the expert here today with Dr. BAIG, we're unpacking coping skills, how we as parents can play a more vital role on navigating our teenagers' journey to become better versions of themselves. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm well, and thanks for having me.
This is a very, very important topic, and I hope that our mums, our educators are taking notes on how we improve the lifestyles of our teenagers. Can you actually talk about the impact of chronic stress, sleep patterns, and what we can do to promote healthy sleep habits?
Sleep is a really, really important part of brain recovery. And with chronic stress, we'll find that teenagers have disrupted sleeping patterns. That chronic stress exposes them to increased cortisol in their brain, and they don't get a depth of sleep because their nervous system struggles to cross over between the one that keeps them awake and alert and filtering into the one that creates sleep. So that you will see huge sleep disruptions, but the impact of that is huge because aside from the fatigue, nobody can concentrate when they're tired. And then we'll go, oh, they've got ADHD, or give them another label, when actually it's just chronic stress. So sleep is crucial. Their brain is developing and they really need to let it hit those deep rest periods in order to promote healthy development. So we've got to try as best as we can to support them. There's various things, sometimes noise can trigger anxiety. Sometimes in South Africa, it's safety fears if you've had issues around safety. So we've got to try and understand our child and what works. We can educate them about using their phones at night. That backlight from the phone tricks their brain into thinking it's daylight. So at least half an hour before bedtime to stop all electronic usage, to let them find things that assist them. So if it needs to be a darker space, a darker space. Some people need a nightlight, as much as it may be seen as inappropriate in adolescence. Give them that if that's what they need. Give them something to distract their brain because their brains get so busy. So some of them respond to white noise, some of them respond to meditations. Give them things to wind down and establish a routine so that the brain goes into recognizing whenever I start to do X, Y, and Z, I'm hitting bedtime, wash my face, brush my teeth, whatever it is,
Yes.
but X, Y, Z, and let that be their transition into bedtime so that even to signal to their body, this is my bedtime routine. Essentially, it's just about creating a calming, restful space, but that's unique to your child. We don't even have the same fingerprints on our 5 fingers. So we've really got to take the time to understand what it is that works for them.
Yes. And Doc, very important question as well is obviously what they put in is what they get out. And we're talking about now the immune system and the eating habits. And it's different from when we were growing up. We have had so much of veggies and nourished food, and now it's more the noodles and more junk food. And have you seen that in your practice where the impact of maybe skin issues and not hydrating enough? Can you probably give us some lifestyle tips on that?
Gut health is so important. I mean, half of our immune system is in our gut. So what we put in is, you're right, exactly that is what we're going to get out. We do need to promote healthier eating, but we also need to be aware about the pressures around eating. Previously, I think it was predominantly female, but we found a huge rise of eating disorders in both men and women, young men and young women. And it comes from all of these things around different expectations for them to be a certain way. So we've got to make them understand that the nourishment we put in is also going to impact their performance, whether on the sports field, academic, their stress. If they're not going to be able to be the best that they can be. And even in terms of brain development, it's really going to hinder brain development.
We are very lucky to have you on our show. Advancements in medicine and obviously getting more involved internationally. Can you tell us what advancements in medicine under the umbrella of psychology and a little bit about brain therapy? I think that's what it's called.
So in the past, we often talk about coping. I need to remember that with neuroscience, there's a lot happening where we can assist brain recovery. My go-to is something called brain working recursive therapy. So shortened, it's BWRT if you just Google it. It really helps the brain restructure around coping. We're looking a lot more at not just coping, but rewiring our brain around what it understands as survival so that it begins to develop differently and focus on why our brain has developed that way and allow it to change. But the thing I really love is it's not externally imposed. What we work with in that session is based on what the individual needs. So we're not taking these external Eurocentric views. Sounds like I hate Eurocentric views, but I'm just being critical and saying we need to be really authentic as South Africans. So it takes what the child is themselves experiencing, not imposed from a parent or a school or social media. It is genuine to that person and what their brain needs, and it lets that direct their growth and development and look forward to a future. And once we open that pathway, these developing brains start to find a more resilient way to cope. And you'll find that the biggest change after somebody has been through BWRT is resilience. And it starts to happen automatically. It's not like we need to externally impose it. It really starts to just become a part of them. So I think that's one of the things that I really go to is BWRT for that reason.
So give us a little example. Your practice, I mean, getting the patient or the teenager arriving, do you obviously incorporate the parents and you work with the multidisciplinary team? And obviously long-term, some of the factors and the benefits of seeing you as a psychologist.
I don't think parents like me very much. I don't incorporate them a lot. This is not about you as the parent. This is about your teen. Children from the age of 14 and up are able to consent to medical procedures, and from the age of 14 and up are allowed absolute privacy in the therapy room. So what they tell me, I don't need to share with the parent. I will share what I think is relevant. I will give the parent feedback once in maybe every 8 sessions. But beyond that, leave the space as your child's safe space to explore what they need. I do work with a team, so often I'll have a medical doctor or occupational therapist or dietitian, whatever is needed to support that child to get to the best space. But my focus is that adolescent in front of me.
Very important conversation with Dr. Baig today. We're talking about our teenagers. They are our future leaders. They're going to make an impact for us in the future. And what we put in is what we get out. We are going to have a series of these talks in the future because there's so much to impact. We're talking about cyberbullying, image, nourishment, and other factors that contribute to our teenagers' vital years in getting into adulthood. Jazakallah, Dr. Baig, for sharing such insightful, obviously, your experience with chronic management and stress for our teenagers has been so vitally important this morning. Do you have any closing messages to our listeners, and how can they get in touch with you in Pietermaritzburg?
So my biggest thing I'd like to say is that we need to recognize what a fragile yet powerful stage adolescence is, and supporting them in their mental health journey is not a luxury. It's actually an act of liberation for your child. And just by listening to them, affirming their roots, resilience creates an authentic being, which is going to take them a very long way into the world. If people want to get into, check out Instagram, QUE_BE. Just look at my website, QURAISHABAIG.co.za. All my contact details are there.
And your practice, where you're located in Pietermaritzburg?
So we are at Psychologist, Howick Road, just below Cornwallis and Redlands Hotel.
Shukran for tuning in today's episode of the Pulse Show. Remember, taking care of your mental health is superpower. Stay calm, stay cool, and stay awesome. Until next Saturday, stay healthy, stay hydrated, and also take care. I was fortunate to have 2 technicians with me, SB and MK, at the studio. And to our Durban's technicians, bringing the life together for our audience to impact, make a difference, and educate you. Jazakallah so much for being with us. Have me and your family in your du'as, inshallah. Have a Mubarak Saturday, and it's a wrap. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Awesome.
No, Radio Al Ansar will be held responsible for any ill health caused by the advice given on Radio Al Ansar.
Radio Al Ansar, 24/7, 365.
An informative Islamic global perspective. This is Al Ansar News.
Johannesburg, get ready for something bigger, bolder, and more spectacular than ever before, where shopping meets show-stopping entertainment. For the very first time, Al Ansar events bring you the Al Ansar Liquid Festival, hosted at the breathtaking Lakewood Conference Center from the 2nd to the 6th of October from 10 a.m. till 8. Experience shopping, lifestyle, food, and non-stop entertainment like you've never seen before. 5 unforgettable days, one festival. This is Al Ansar Lakewood Festival, and Johannesburg, it's yours to experience.
Get ready, Durban! The TBR Family 5-kilometer fun run and walk is happening. 11 October at the Blue Lagoon Lawns, kicking off at 7 a.m. Join us for a day packed with excitement, a scavenger hunt, kite building, a burger eating showdown, and prizes galore. Enjoy food trucks, family games, and a live 6-hour broadcast from Radio Al Ansar. Don't forget, bring a new toy to brighten a child's day in hospital.
Sunday Lounge with Salma Kazi Wahab.